Oh my. Oh my.
You are now tuned in to the Revolution Radio Show.
Yo, what it is and what it do, you're officially tuned in to the Revolution Radio Show on 102.3 FM, KCAA in the Inland Empire, worldwide on the NBC Radio Network and on the iHeartRadio app. As always, I'm your man, J Love, a.k.a. Uncle Jiggy. And joining me again today, back from his little, we'll call it staycation. Staycation, the statesman himself, Mr. Farron. How you doing, sir?
Man, I'm blessed today, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing amazing, man. It's Wednesday, July the 14th. 2021. So tell us, sir, for those who don't know, I know where you was at, but you was up by the lake. You was up there living that good life at the UCLA Retreat Center. UCLA Retreat Center. How was that?
Man, they have this uni camp that they've been doing since, I believe they said 1934. And so the UCLA students go out and they take youth from the inner city and they bring them out there for a week and they teach them life skills and education and archery and all kind of activities. So I was blessed to be able to go up there with my mentor, who's 87, Caldwell.
Right.
And we introduced part of his curriculum to them on Monday night, and Tuesday morning we spoke. So our task was to teach or share about change, about choice, and then I added consequences because I had choice, he had change.
Right.
And yeah, man, it was really, really interesting. And as you know, I've been doing some speaking at church with youth in the last couple 2 times, and so I'm really inspired to have a conversation with youth. Especially the young men, the young males,
right?
The teenagers. So they were 10 to 15.
Okay. Funny age. It's a funny age.
Yeah.
Right,
oh, yeah. Very. Yeah.
10 to 15-year-old boys.
They are a hard crowd, but very smart. Very
All
smart.
Right. Well, I mean, that's good that you doing that. It's a beautiful situation, man. I think more brothers should get out and at least say hello. Something.
They waiting for us, bro. They waiting for us. They need it.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially young man. So that's a dope thing. Well, man, since you was gone, we talked about nothing.
I caught a glimpse yesterday, so I heard.
Shout out to my girl A Ruiz. I appreciate her for coming through. Also, I want to send a shout out, man, because it's going to lead into my next story. Okay. Many of y'all who have listened to this show or been a part of this show from the beginning remember my co-host Cherie Marlene, amazing woman. Shout out Cherie. Right now she is tucked away, sick in bed. She is, I was gonna say HIV. She tested positive for COVID.
No.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and the crazy thing is, I played my song for her and everything. I told her, vax that thing up. And so she didn't listen. And
maybe she needs to hear it again.
You know what? Maybe she needs to hear it again. So go ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Before I get in my story, this is dedicated to Cherie Marlene, ladies and gentlemen. Vax that thing up. Yeah.
You finna online date chat, find a mate chat, open up BOK ass, okay yeah, profile picture looking tight chat, nice chat, got your bio reading right chat, precise chat, but before you find a date chat, you gotta wait chat, gotta go back to Nate chat, get it straight chat, girl you look good, want you vax that thing up, you's a handsome young brother, want you vax that thing up, dating real life, you need to vax that thing up, feeling freaky all night, you need to vax that thing up, girl you look good, want you vax that thing up, you's a handsome young brother, want you vax that thing up, dating real life, you need to vax that thing up. Feeling freaky all night, you need to vax that thing up.
I know you can't stand it, no holding hands, chick. But when we get the shot, we gon' be romancing. Girl, you could be the queen after quarantine. We could meet up at the spot and we could do the thing. Internet date chat, I'm your mate chat. Download the app, shawty, you ain't gotta wait chat. I love it when you hold me, eggplant emoji. You could be the young hot thing, I'll be the OG.
Girl, you look good, want you vax that thing up. You's a handsome young brother, want you vax that thing up. Dating real life, you need to vax that thing up. Feeling freaky all night, you need to vax that thing up. Girl, you look good, want you vax that thing up. You's a decent looking brother, want you vax that thing up. Acting foolishly, you need to vax that thing up. Herd immunity, when you vax that thing up.
If you wanna get sticky and hot, go get the shot. If you wanna smash some dude named Scott, go get the shot. Go get the shot, go get the shot. BLK says go get the shot. You wanna smash with Scott, smash with Scott. Then BLK says go get the shot.
Vax that thing up if you want to smash with a guy named Scott.
Yeah, a couple of them verses lost me.
That is the greatest song ever written. That is the greatest. So, yeah. So again, shout out to Cherie. Thinking about you. Got you in my prayers, girl. Vax that thing up
Quickly too,
please, because it's cold. It's a cold world out there. And the reason I bring that up is because recent studies are showing, everyone felt like we were in the phase of the pandemic when it was a race between vaccinations and variants, right?
right?
And it was neck and neck for a while. And I personally was ready to cheer a vaccine victory myself personally, because I vaxxed it up, ladies and gentlemen. I went out there and vaxxed it up. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we had dropped to fewer than 10,000 new cases a day, which was an important number, right, in this battle against the coronavirus, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you want to call Dr. Fauci the controversial Dr. Fauci, right? But he's Joe Biden's chief medical advisor. He said that it was time that we would finally get our arms around the spread. And we came close. As of June, we were at 11,299 cases, right? So we were trending towards that place where we wanted to be, fewer than 10,000, right? Right. But then the variants caught up some speed, right? And you mix that with there's variants, and then stuff opened up and everybody's like, for example, last night in Las Vegas, Garth Brooks had a concert, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh no.
60,000 sold out. No. Hugging each other, talking about I got friends in low places. And when that song is on, you can bet there's a lot of drunk people singing all up in your face. So in the last month, we went from trending down to now we're at an average of 23,472 new cases a day.
No way. Yo.
Yes, as of Tuesday. And all indications point that the numbers are rising. No. There are many countries around the world that are now seeing case rates increase against a backdrop of sparse vaccine supply. Here in the United States, we have plenty of vaccine available, a precious commodity almost every country around the world wishes they had. And you know what the problem is? Don't nobody want to go and vax that thing up. So, Mr. Statesman, I figured I'd hit you with the big ones as soon as you got back. How do you feel about this, sir? Like, we were getting ready we just spent a year and a half in house arrest. And now we went from trending to going to lower than 10,000 in a month was going to be the trend. We hit 11,000 in June. To now we're trending at 23,000 a day. What is your take on this, Mr. Statesman?
As we seem to point to these government systems, right, that seem to keep us oppressed. I don't even sound right saying that. Man, the problem is they're going to use that percentage that did not get vaccinated to implicate that there's going to be a perpetuated problem, if I can say it that way.
Okay.
So it's I don't believe in conspiracy theories, although there are some that are very close. But I think that they're using those numbers that people who didn't, the percentage that didn't get vaccinated, to say that because you're not getting vaccinated, these numbers are increasing, and they're going to play with those numbers like they did beginning. Remember, they played with those numbers in the beginning. So
what you're saying is you think it's a giant government conspiracy.
I didn't say it was a conspiracy. I said that they're going to use those numbers of unvaccinated people to emphasize more people getting sick again. And it's going to cause another shutdown, which I think we're all expecting that anyway. I think people are already expecting it to happen.
I'm not
again.
expecting a shutdown. I barely got things popping. I got to go on tour. What you talking about, a shutdown? We know.
Yeah.
Then we need to get all these deposits in as quick as possible.
You need to bring back that. You need to bring back that rap verse again.
We're gonna have to play that 2-3 more times in this show right now. People get vaxxed up. Yada dig. You need to get vaxxed up. Listen,
but I have a buddy of mine who I ride on motorcycles with, who felt like thought he had corona,
right,
and ended up just having the flu. So the flu is going around.
We ain't heard that in a while,
right? So he got tested, and the way he sounded, it sounded like he had Rona.
Yeah,
but
you know what? Sorry, my ADD kicked in.
He only had the flu.
You had the flu. Don't it sound like, I think they should have thought of another name, because I just think there's something about when you be like, hey, you got the Rona. That sounds like something real dirty. You know what I mean? Like, ooh, I catch a lot of things, but that Rona, woo!
You don't want the Rona.
Boy, I was behind a dumpster when I caught the Rona. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what? This is what I'm going to tell y'all. I'm going to keep this real musical. This is America. You got the right to choose whatever you want. I don't push it on people. I think I got vaccinated. I believe people should get vaccinated. But if you don't, I understand it should, because you know what it breaks down to? Options, ladies and gentlemen. Comes down to options. Speaking of options, I'm going to play my girl Tweet to remind y'all that y'all got some options. You should pick the right one, but you got some options.
Or suffer the consequences.
There it is.
Baby, I got options. I keep watching, keep on calling, but I'm thinking about you. Ain't no stopping. We keep rocking. I said I got options, but I'm choosing on you. If you're really down the road, then we can ride out. I don't wanna wait, so make your mind up. I wanna get closer. Got me pushing up on you. Make it last a little longer. Take it off and put it on you. You know I got options, yeah. I got options, yeah. You know I got options, yeah. I got options, yeah. Don't know why you keep on playing, I got options. Always got something to say when I drop some. Stay down, I kept it real, you know where I'm from. Ain't the type to keep it low key, I'm not the one. You're saying too much, but I want you to show me. Don't need a rush, can we just take it slowly? Better act right, I don't wanna waste no time. Yeah, you saying them things about to lose my mind. I got options, yeah. I got options, yeah. You know I got options, yeah. I got options, yeah.
Hey, yo,
Yo, if you just tuning in, that was Twee. This is the Revolution Radio Show 102.3, and that was Twee, ladies and gentlemen, with options. We're talking about options that people got. You know what I mean? And so
3 options too.
3 options. You can vaccinate, you can not vaccinate, or you can die.
I was talking about the choice of shots, bro.
Oh yeah, you got that too.
Talking about the consequences yet.
My bad. I was talking about that. My bad. So
I was talking about the different types.
But even beyond Rona, there's so much going on in our world. So I read this and it tripped me out because many of you know I manage an artist named Angie Rose, right? We're doing a lot of great things, whatever. One of the things we're working on, I just found this out, even though I've worked in and around rehab for close to 30 years of my life now, right? Mm-hmm. Working with people trying to get their lives back together, whatever. The organization that I'm affiliated with, that's kind of the backbone of what they do. And so drug addiction is a very serious thing, right? Well, what I didn't know is September is actually Recovery Awareness Month, right? Okay. So we're working on a mixtape project that is going to be raise money for recovery homes, for rehab and recovery homes across the country, right? And so it's so much more important now and poignant based on what I'm just about to show y'all right now. I read this and it blew my mind, right? Because I'm old enough to remember what they used to call the crack epidemic, right? Mm-hmm. That swept through the mid to late 80s into the early 90s, that decimated communities of color, right? And then recently we've been experiencing, I'm going to call it an epidemic. The powers that be have called it a health crisis, right? Because now instead of criminalizing drug addicts, they finally acknowledged that it is a health crisis, that it is pretty much almost a disease, right? It's something that shouldn't be criminalized, but something that should be dealt with, right? Which is the opioid epidemic, right? Mm-hmm. And I've seen people come in where like it's soccer moms addicted to heroin. Mm-hmm. I've seen families where it's literally the mom and the son addicted to heroin together. I've seen people come to rehab centers in Bentleys, which is wild. You feel me? Strung out on heroin.
Oh, yeah.
But according to the CDC, drug overdose deaths rose by 30% in the United States in 2020, right? Hitting the highest number ever recorded in U.S. history.
Oh,
that's crazy.
Are you surprised?
Yeah. I mean, just because I don't know why because think about it. There was back in the day, 60s and 70s, heroin was really crazy. Then the whole crack thing, then the whole meth thing, right? But this new, I just didn't know it was that big. I mean, I knew it was big, but man, for it to be, it said more than 93,000 people died from drug overdoses in 2020, right? That's 29.4% increase from 72,151 deaths for 2019. So overdose deaths from synthetic opioids, primarily fentanyl, and I've told y'all about fentanyl before, and psychosis stimulants such as methamphetamine also increased in 2020. Cocaine deaths also increased in 2020, as did deaths from natural and semi-synthetic opioids such as prescription pain medications. Right, this is the highest number of overdoses ever recorded in a 12-month period. The largest increase since at least 1999. So I don't know, man. This is just crazy to me, man. I you know what I mean,
bro? I'm not surprised, only because especially you say in 2020, look at what we were dealing with, and so I don't like the fact that they dealt with mental health at the end of the pandemic versus addressing it when it first started. I didn't really notice any commercials about hope and what all this other stuff that they're putting on TV the last month or two during the pandemic. So people use, I mean, how can I say? People are using drugs to quiet their mind. We know what we use alcohol for and drugs.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that people have overdosed because they don't have enough peace in their mind to just be able to sit at home and address life. That's to me, that has to be, if you want to look and see why the numbers were increased, especially during 2020.
I guess, so, yeah, that does make sense.
That's another level of the impact of the pandemic, which is the mental state. And I mean, as you can see, unfortunately, that's drug overdose. You talk about suicide increase 600%. So not only did people die from the Rona, but now you're talking about people dying from opioids and drugs,
right.
and the people who took their life. So how many people did we really lose in 2020? Who knows? Only the system knows if you crunch the numbers.
Well, I mean, even what you just brought up, right? There, because I think did we touch on it on the show as far as suicide deaths and all of that or whatever? But I know that cases of depression were recorded at all-time highs during the pandemic, right? Yeah. And so even I don't know if you were aware, but there was actually the earlier today, Wednesday. You're a sports fan, right? Mm-hmm. Football. So you know who Richard Sherman is. Richard Sherman formerly played for the Seattle Seahawks. He was a cornerback when they won the Super Bowl, when they were the Legion of Doom or Legion of Boom. I'm sorry, Legion of Boom. Now he plays for San Francisco. Well, it was reported that Richard Sherman tried to kill himself.
What?
Yeah, man. And so according to the 911 call, he drank 2 bottles of hard alcohol and was threatening to kill himself before he was arrested. In the call, which was 4 minutes in length, a woman who ID'd herself as Sherman's wife told dispatch the NFL star was drunk and belligerent and threatening to kill himself. The woman was frantic, breathing heavily and speaking quickly, and was pleading for dispatch to send officers to her home in Washington right away. She said, "I need officers here now," the woman can be heard saying on the call. "He's trying to leave now. In the house, he was being aggressive. He was wrestling with my uncle. He's threatening to kill himself. He has sent text messages to people saying he's going to hang himself." And it goes on and on. But it goes to say something. If someone who seemingly has the entire world in his hands, you know, he's a multimillionaire. He's famous. He does something that for the most part, as far as we know, that he enjoys, right, which is playing football. And this person, so it goes to show you, like, we talk about this all the time. We got to check on the people that we care about and not wait till it's too late. Like, we have to ask people, like, not in a passing, you know, "Hey, how you doing?" But in a like, "Hey, really, how are you?
Where you at?"
Yeah. We need to check on people, man.
And I want the listeners to take away from this part of the conversation from me is that you've got to understand or just get in your life that it's not the money, it's not the fame, it's the peace of mind that is the priceless. That's the ultimate goal in being fulfilled in life. It's not the stuff. And we see it in athletes, we see it in the entertainment industry, we see it with military, we see it with regular people. If you are not happy with your life, these are the kind of things that happen, and you have to be able to pay attention to other people or find the courage to get help for yourself and making that I don't even want to say the term mental health, because that's just a broad label. You've got to figure out what's going on in your mind and your heart.
Well, we got to heal, man. We got to heal. I'm gonna word it this way. As a suicide survivor myself, right? There was a lot of healing that had to occur in my life.
Yeah, for sure.
For me to get to a place where that was no longer a thought. You understand what I'm saying? It's one thing that it didn't work, right? But it's another thing. It's not like the thoughts went away. It's not like the urge went away just because it didn't work, right? I had to heal from a lot of things. And there's a lot of people that need to heal. There's a lot of people that feel that there's things that they can't talk about. And I was actually talking with someone earlier today who was sharing some things with me, and they were going through things. And I just told him, I said, listen, understand, there's nothing you can tell me that's going to freak me out.
Yeah.
There's nothing, like, I want you to know that this is a safe space, right? There's nothing that you're gonna be like, oh my God, what? You're crazy, or you know what I mean? Like, because I understand that at certain moments in your life, it doesn't make sense, right? Or it's ludicrous, or it's whatever, right? And so I've come to a place where I'm very sensitive to people's energy, right? And so I constantly, like, if you're around me, like, even I joke about it, right? I joke with the whole Cherie Marlene thing or whatever. But in all honesty, man, like, because I know a lot of people have told me that after COVID, like when they got COVID, they got depression, right? Because it messes with your system and your chemicals, and right. So I just been little texts like, hey, just checking on you. How you doing? You good? You all right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I understand, because I know when I got out the hospital, it was like, yo, like, I can't explain it, but it messed with me. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's really important that more than ever, in a time where we talked about this, right? Communication, where we communicate less, right? That we make it more of a specific effort for the people around. And I'm not saying everybody, right? But at least the 2 or 3 people closest to you, like, hey, you good? Like, it's, and prayerfully they are, right? Prayerfully they are. But what does it hurt to ask a question?
You know, and when you talk about healing, right? So I'm going to point out a couple of things from my own personal experience, because like I said, you and I are not too far apart in our relatedness. You got to look at what comes up in your heart and your subconscious mind, like the silent traumas, like the I'm not worth it, I'm not good enough, I'm not this, the I'm nots. Like your mind, your heart will run that cycle to you in episodes of your life where you're up to stuff in life where you're trying to do something, accomplish something, and your mind will be like, you know, you ain't good enough, or you know, you'll think like, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, so why would I even try that? But that right there, look, example, I'm at the camp, and when I spoke on Monday night, a teen asked the counselor to see if to speak to me, right? So one of the teens asked to speak to me, 15-year-old kid, youth. And he was like, I want to find out about the Army. And so we're talking. And then he says, well, during the pandemic, I was depressed. He said there was things that I wanted to accomplish and I felt I wasn't good enough. And there were things that I wanted to do that I was forced to do that I didn't like doing. He's like, so I heard you say, like, you found like a purpose. Like, how did you do that? Right. And so I broke it down to him. But I also heard him say that he wasn't good enough. He didn't think he was good enough running track because he wanted to run track. But his brother was faster than his older brother was there, 1 year older. They're both at the camp. And he says, well, I want to run track, but I'm not faster than my brother, so I don't think I'm good enough. And I'm like, all right. So I'm thinking I got to speak to that right there, because he's already in the subconscious mind of I'm not good enough to be on the track team, right? And so these are the things. I'm not saying that everybody has something, but everybody has something that's in their heart that tells them the I'm not. Like, you got to figure out what that I'm not is to go to work at that. Because if it's not, I'm not good enough, I'm not worth it, I'm not smart enough, I'm not tall enough, whatever that is, that could be that one little piece of circumstance or struggle that you deal with in life that could take your life to another path, because you will also look for the evidence that you're not smart enough. You will also look for the proof that you're not good enough. And as he was doing that to himself, racing his brother, thinking that, well, if I can beat my brother, I can beat everybody. Yeah, no, you don't have to compare yourself to your brother.
Well, man, what you're saying is so poignant because here, look, at the end of the day, there is power in what we speak, right? And, you know, even there's a line that always stood out to me. One of my favorite rappers of all time is DJ Quick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And DJ Quick would always say, yo, when you rap about death, you talking to spirits, right? And so a lot of, you know, when we rap, meaning when we speak, when we talk, we're speaking to spirits, right? And we're speaking to, you know, even if you don't believe the way I believe, you definitely speak into the universe. Because if you think about it, every single thing that exists that we can tangibly, physically touch, see, smell, etc., right? It began with two things. It began with a thought and it began with a spoken word, right? It didn't manifest out of nothing. It came from a thought and from a spoken word. And the thing is, we have to be very, very specific about what we think about, you can't control what jumps in your mind, but you can't control what you meditate on, right?
Yeah.
And then what you speak, right? Because, you know, it's proven over and over and over again, what you speak manifests, right? And we speak so much death to ourselves, to the people around us. We speak so much negativity. We speak so much, like you're saying, what ifs and I can'ts and, you know, that would be nice, but, you know, and it's really learning to, you know, I say this all the time. Perception is everything, right? There's a scripture that says, as a man thinks, that's what he is.
Right? In his heart. And a man thinks in his heart.
It's heart, because that's the core of you.
Mind. Exactly.
Right, which is the core of you, right?
Exactly.
And so you have to really change, you know, and the example I use all the time, because when I learned this, I was like, ooh, that's really like, that applies to so much in life, right? Because it was explained to me by a police officer, not to me necessarily, but I was listening in. Anyways, that the worst testimony is eyewitness testimony, right? Which is crazy because I know a lot of people convicted over eyewitness testimony, but that's a different subject. But anyways, because okay, so let's say you see, and this is how they explained it. Let's say you see an automobile accident at an intersection, right? So I'm on one side of the intersection and you're on the other side of the intersection, right? We're going to see two completely different accidents because of our point of view.
Yep.
Right. That's why typically cameras are up higher, because they have a different vantage point, right? Because they can see in a 360 with regards to what's going on, right? And so I'm going to see the accident from the perspective of, yo, the dude in the black car, yo, that dude came through and just right. Whereas you saw it like, nah, it was the dude in the red car, the dude in right, because from the vantage point from when we saw it. And I didn't fully understand it until this happened to me, right? I was coming out of the bank in Chino, and you know how some streets you got to kind of pull out a little, you can't see because people park on the street, so you got to pull out just a little bit extra to be able to, like, I don't know if someone's coming or not.
Right.
So that's what happened on this street. And so as I pulled out a little bit, I noticed someone coming on a motorcycle fast. Okay. Now, both you and I know, because we ride motorcycles, right, that the worst thing to do if you coming fast on a motorcycle is to hit that back brake.
Oh, yeah.
And even worse than that is you panic and hit both the brakes at the same time. Right. So this person, I deduced just from the evidence that they were a new motorcycle rider, but I'll get to that in a second. Right. So what happened is they the wheels locked up, skirt, so you can imagine, and flipped over the bike and whatever. Right. So a lady across the street saw this, right, jumped on the phone and called 911 and said, yo, this man just hit this lady on a motorcycle.
Oh my goodness.
Because from her vantage point, it looked as if I hit her.
Wow.
Right. Luckily, a couple of things. Number one, there was nothing on my car, because obviously if I'd have hit her, there would have been some damage on the vehicle. Right. But there was some people, a city work crew was behind her, who said, nah, we saw her down the street run a stop sign. She was going really fast. Right. But the lady was insistent, like, no, I'm listening to her. And I'm trying to go, ma'am, I didn't hit right. I'm trying to go, ma'am, I didn't hit her. Like I didn't hit this lady. She's going, and right now he's trying to convince me that he didn't, like, you know, like on some Karen type, you know, but I ain't gonna go, you know, but and she was the whole time like, he's here right now. You need to come before he leaves. I'm like, what? Right? She's like, he hit it. So I'm going, and the lady, because it was the lady who was riding a motorcycle. She ended up, I guess she broke her pelvis, right? So when the police arrived, they said, what happened, right? So everyone's telling me, so she's the loudest one, like, I saw it. He hit her, he pulled out and he hit her and she flipped over, right? And so, but the evidence showed differently. So here's my point in all of that. The evidence in your life, if you see it from the right vantage point, will tell you the truth. But because you're listening to these other voices, right? These voices that say you're not, you won't be, you never can, right? You see it from the vantage point of ridiculousness, right? But here's the truth, because I tell people all the time, reality and the truth are two different things, right? Reality says this, okay? Reality says at one point in time in the history of this country, Black people were 3/5 of a human being. That was the reality. Right. There's no arguing that, but it wasn't the truth. And that's what I mean. But the reality is that women were considered were their only worth, right, was to have babies, be barefoot in the kitchen, cook
kitchen in the bedroom, the kitchen in the bedroom,
kitchen in the bedroom, kitchen in the bedroom, right? That was the reality, but it wasn't the truth, right? And so your reality may be, in this young man's case, your brother runs faster than you. Your reality may be that, you know, you might not get as good grades as this other person, or your reality could be 100 things, but it doesn't mean that that's the truth. It doesn't mean, and the truth, that's why the word says, when you find the truth will set you free.
Set you free. Yes.
The truth tells you that, you know what, you are amazing. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You know what I mean?
And your truth, because your truth and my truth is not going to be the same truth, but we got it from the same principles. So by utilizing those principles, you will discover what your truth is. And man, that's so important.
Yeah. And so, and that's where people, again, I've suffered from depression. And my depression, a lot of it stemmed from my reality in my life. Like, I can't deny the reality of where I was in that moment, but it wasn't the truth, right?
Exactly.
I used to have this, I remember when I started going to therapy, and my therapist would ask me, because I would always say, because you know how there's that scripture in the Bible that says that we're the body, right? Everyone has their own work that they're going to do, right? So it applies to anybody. I use the Bible all the time, but this applies, right? Some people are the thumb, some people
find
are
your
the
voice.
Yeah. What you know, we all have a role, right? No one is individual. In other words, like, my point is, we all have a place, right?
I got an example.
Wait, let me tell you, because she'll get mad at me. She'll get mad at me. And so I would say, yo, I figured out who I am, right? And she'd be like, what? I was like, yo, I'm the colon. She'd be like, what? I'm like, yeah, because I'm the one that has to deal with all the ish. Right? And she was like, Jay, why would you say that? I was like, have you seen my life? That was in my reality, that's what I believed. It wasn't until I discovered the truth that I was like, oh, I'm the crown. You know what I mean? But that was my, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say how I learned that what you're describing is the engine of a car.
Right.
What's the most important part of the engine? Some people say it's the battery. Some people say it's the spark plugs. You know, what do you think the most important part of that?
You know, I'm that guy that lifts up the hood and goes, yup, looks like the flux capacitor to me.
All right. So I just get to the point. My point is that some people think it's the battery because it has all the power. Some people think it's the spark plugs because it's the sparks and the fuel but guess what?
What?
The transfer wire.
See, I never even heard that word.
The transfer wire to the battery. If you take that one little $4 wire off, the car won't start. So they're all important, and none of it's important.
Wow.
Because the battery costs more than the transfer. The transfer wire is like $4 or $5. A battery is sometimes $200 or more. Spark plugs are like $8, depends on what kind you're using, $8 to $16 a pop. But the transfer wire is just as important as the battery and the spark plug. So we are all valuable in this conversation. So you've got to be able to look at what you're dealing with, or what that conversation is in your heart. And that might be where you start doing your work at. And it's probably either from a past experience of depression, or if you're feeling anxiety, it's that you're living too far in the future and you can't control the future. And so your mind is telling you something, but you've got to pay attention to it. And there's nothing wrong with going to find out in therapy what it is that you're dealing with. We all have silent traumas, emotional traumas. We all deal with something. No one is exempt. And whatever you're dealing with, best believe there's somebody else. Like this guy I just met a few months ago, and I can relate to him in so many different aspects of just our conversation, because I'm listening to relatedness, I'm trying to listen to understand them. So,
yeah, man. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. So that's all part. And if you want a good example of a movie, is watch My Cousin Vinny. My Cousin Vinny is hilarious.
It's one of my favorite movies.
Exactly, and that's what I learned as well about perspective and the truth. You will enjoy My Cousin Vinny, and it gives you a perfect example.
When he broke down that accident, he was dope.
Yeah, exactly. And going through the steps to figure out what would really happen.
Yeah, so, and speaking of that, so that's it. Is it? Look, we have steps that we got to take, right? And maybe the steps are uncomfortable. And I posted this. I made my own little J Love meme, right? Yesterday, right? And my little quote was, "The seed does not resemble the fruit, but it possesses the power of the tree." Right? And here's the thing. When you look at your life, yeah, you may not look like what you think you supposed to look like. Look, in my head, I got an 8-pack. I look like The Rock in my head. In my head, right? But when I look in the mirror, you know, I'm Thick Drake, according to a whole bunch of people who've lately been calling me Thick Drake. But no, you know what I mean? So, but just because I can't see in a mirror what it is that I would like, doesn't mean that I can't become that thing. It's just a process, right? Like you can't bypass like I can't just sit here and go, I want to look like The Rock. I want to look like The Rock. You know what I mean? Like me just going and go, I want to look like The Rock. Like it's not going to magically manifest, right? Yeah. Guess what I got to do? I got to get up. I got to go to the gym. I got to put the work in. Hold on. I got to eat right. I got to get the right amount of, like, there's a whole lot of, things to it. Now, if I'm willing to do that, look, for years and years and years, I couldn't lose weight, right? You know why? Because I wasn't willing to sacrifice burritos. I wasn't willing to sacrifice bread. Like Olive Garden, you know how many breadsticks I could eat at Olive Garden? You understand that bread was like crack cocaine. But it wasn't until I had a wake-up call and then I switched up my eating, and now I've lost 50 pounds, right? And I'm still losing. But my point is that this guy at where I'm at, like I haven't seen this guy in close to 30 years, right? Wow. Where the weight I'm at right now, which is crazy, right? It's crazy. I haven't seen this dude in a minute. But here's the crazier part. It could have happened years ago. It took a decision. And I guess I said all that to say this. No matter where you're at in life, as long as you're breathing, you're one decision, one choice, one thing away from the greatest breakthrough of your life. Literally one. It's the power of one, right? And you have to understand that as long as you got breath in your lungs, you can change not the world, your world. You can change your entire world. You can change the entire universe around you with one decision. You can change the trajectory of your destiny with one choice. You can change, literally, you can change your life with, like, you know that dude, like, I don't know who needs to hear this, but you know that dude that you've been wasting time with? One choice. Somebody just, I felt that in their gut. They just, you know what I mean?
Hey, but you also got to tell them that you are where you are right now are the sum of all your decisions and choices from the past.
Yes.
So if you look back from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and you wonder where you are, how you got to where you are today, guess what? Those choices and decisions you made from 10 years ago probably got you where you are today. So just like you said, you can change. Like we talked to the youth on Monday and Tuesday. Change is inevitable. It's going to happen. It's how you perceive it, how you think about it, how you talk about it, and your actions and your questions and your research and your right brain. Like, you've got to do all of that work to manage your level of peace in life. And it takes work. It's not just going to happen by itself.
Word. No, word, man. And so, we don't normally get this deep all the time. We be clowning.
It is a Revolution radio show, though. It is a Revolution radio show.
But I just really felt it, man, because I've been feeling a lot of people around me, man, is like they going through some things, and I keep having the same conversation with different people, right? And so I'm like, that means something is in the air, something is going on, right? Plus, I've said this since we've been doing this. We have just come out of the craziest year and a half in modern history, right?
Yep.
This is literally going to be in history books. At some point, kids are going to be reading about the pandemic of 2020, right? It's going to be a book report for some kid, right? Some kid's going to be like, way back in 2020, right? Yep. This is literally, we're living it right now, right? And so all of these accumulative things have had an effect on us. And we've talked about it. We all got some form of PTSD, right? We do. Whether it's like we see numbers, we go, oh, I'm afraid for the lockdown again, or oh, like I'm like at this point, because I'm vaccinated, and I know I shouldn't be this way, but like when it comes to masks, I'm like, get it away from me, right? Because I'm like, but I also know, oh wait, it might be a good idea that not everywhere, but if it's going to be close quarters indoors, I should probably, because just because I'm vaccinated don't mean I can't get it and or transmit it. You know what I mean? Right. And so, but we have some, we all got some kind of PTSD. People are looking for conspiracy. Look, my man said, I've gone from starting at 650 to under 3. Man, big ups to my man Mark Lucas, man, from 650 to under 300 pounds. That's a beautiful journey, man.
That's work right there.
But we all got some kind of PTSD, man. That's why, like, the whole conspiracy about there's going to be a food shortage in 2022. The government is storing up food. They taking the food. So that's why there's no chicken wings. If you notice, there's no chicken wings because the government is stealing all the chicken wings.
That's because we ate them all up, Dave. You can't have so not to just to add to that. Did you see Rick Ross? They're doing thighs now.
Thighs.
Wingstop is doing thighs now.
It's thigh stop now.
Yeah, it's thigh stop now. Right? Come on.
So so it's like
legit though.
So, but here's the thing is, and it goes back to, we need to heal. We need to heal. And listen, I'm going to tell y'all what I told my friend today. Weakness is not reaching out for help and asking somebody. That's not weakness. Weakness is holding it in, feeling that you can't ask somebody for help, right? It takes a true, strong individual to say, hey, Farron, man, I'm going through this thing, dude. I need, I don't know if I just need to talk. I don't know what, I don't know what I need. Yeah. That's a strong individual, right?
That's a level of courage, confidence, something in a positive experience to
stop
be.
Looking at it as weakness. And here's the truth. Do some people take advantage? Yes. Do some people misuse you and think? Yes, but you can't live in the fear that. I mean, definitely be wise in who you open up to. Like, don't just be like, you know what I mean? There's just any old body. But you can't live with this like, well, the last time I opened up, you know what I mean?
No, you can't do that. No.
That
points to there's nobody I could talk to.
Yeah.
And that's and you also have to be able that if you ask someone for help, you also have to be able to accept the no. And the no is not forever, and the no may not be personal to you. So a lot of people are afraid of the no's, and they use that no from 30 years ago, and I have nobody to support me because you never ask. And why don't you ask? Because the last person you asked 15 years ago told you no, so that means everybody gonna be a no. So now you ain't gonna ask for nobody's help, and then you suffer in silence without any support. So it's okay if you have the courage to ask the person. Also have the non-expectation of allowing that person to say yes or no, and no is not forever.
Yeah, and remember this, and I will agree with you that, you know what, the last person did whatever, do you wrong, left you, whatever terminology you want to use, right? But here's speaking of perspective, the good news. You're here, which means you survived it, which means it wasn't the worst thing in the world, which you thought it was, right? So you survived it. Yeah, all right. It's perspective. Perspective is everything. You got to flip every situation and really look at it. You can't. That's why, like, a lot of times when people get into bad relationships, everyone around them can see the train getting ready to crash, except for them, because they're too close. You got to back up off of it. And then you go, oh, I didn't see that bird down there that's sitting on the tracks. It's going to make the train jump off the track. You know what I mean? Because the bird is crazy and he ain't going to move. You know what I mean? That was a little bit of a stupid analogy, but it made sense to me.
It might trigger the conductor to try to hit the brakes, which once you just said, once you jam on the brakes, you just never know what can happen once you jam on the brakes. But
but you know, it's perspective. Right. Yeah. And so that's why I tell people all the time, like, yo, you're too close to this situation. You need to kind of back up and really, look at it, from, it's like, especially when it comes to relationships, right? Like, what would you tell your friend in this, if you've seen the same thing, right? What would you tell some? And then it becomes, yeah, but it's different. I'm gonna start picking on people if I stay on this topic. I'm gonna start, people will be like, you talking about me? I didn't say nothing. I didn't say no names, and but look, here's the truth, man.
Relationships is hard work anyway.
Our whole goal on this show is that we want to make you laugh, absolutely. We want to entertain you, absolutely. But at the end of the day, we hope to inspire you, to move you, to push you. That's why it really is about revolution in your life, every aspect of your life. We want to help spark revolution, right? And so with that being said, because this show always goes by so dang fast, we got 2 minutes literally. So with that be, you got some last thing to say, Mr. Farron?
No, what I wanted to, so just to give the listeners a conversation for what I want to bring to the table, is about circumstances. So I'm gonna bring the word circumstances to you tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, just so you can kind of hear not just the activities of our circumstances, but the experience of our circumstances and how that affects us and impacts us in our day-to-day life. And it could be, related to some of the stuff that we're all dealing with in life. So I've been led to talk about circumstances. So we will use that word tomorrow. So if you're listening and you're a regular listener, do some research on what circumstances mean to you. You can look up the definitions. I'll bring all that tomorrow. And then I'm just going to drop you some insight and some knowledge and some understanding and some wisdom, how to apply circumstances so you can find some peace, because sometimes we stress out because of what our current circumstances are, right? So that all leads to depression, anxiety, and our view and our perspective of life. So I know that circumstances will be a conversation that should work for Thursday and Friday.
Word. So with that being said, man, I just want to let y'all know, I just want to remind you that, look, and I want to say this again, as long as there's breath in your lungs, you are one moment, one decision, one idea, one meeting, one thought away from the greatest breakthrough of your life. So with that, on behalf of Farron, I'm Jay Love. This is the Revolution Radio Show on 102.3, reminding you to reach for your best, reach for success, but most of all, reach for God, because God is love and love is everything. We out of here.
Oh my.